few things to keep in mind as a care provider. How can you minimize your own vicarious trauma is by getting better at how we offer support. So here are some do's and don'ts, right? The first one is actually setting clear boundaries and prioritize your self-care. So if you need to take a break, do it, right? It's not something you postpone. We all feel it, and then sometimes we don't act on it. How many trauma folks you see in a day, if you're a mental health care provider, that's really important. Think about who you're scheduling. How are you scheduling? If you're in a healthcare setting, this is also really important, but a lot of hospitals have, you have to meet your hours. You're probably at somebody else's mercy in terms of setting those limits for yourself. But what can you do? Really quick hacks. Maybe you need to schedule 10 minutes before you see somebody else. Ask for that or try to do that. Cut out things that are not working, right? In the don't list, I didn't add this, but there's things we do that are not helpful. Caffeine for me is one thing like that, right? I realized that just relying on coffee to get through trauma stories, that's not a really sustainable. That's a great question, and my answer actually doesn't differ that much, because I think even in a family caregiving situation, I feel like no, and I mean this right, in a way, this is a cultural phenomenon for us, right? But because I think in a lot of Indian cultures, and I'm using that in plural because we're not, it's not a homogeneous culture by any means. There's lots of differences. But when it comes to family, I think there is a culture around, I need to put everyone else first, right? Because we're a collectivist culture. It's the beauty of who we are. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that each individual in that family system has their own emotional needs, including you as a caregiver, right? We don't express it, we don't talk about it, but it's true. We all feel it. And so what I find more and more is, even in family systems like that, empowering yourself to know what that limit is. And just because somebody has experienced a trauma in their life, in your family, and you're the caregiver, it does not mean that there needs to be a boundarylessness all the time. But in fact, that is actually more hurtful to the person who has experienced the trauma, right? Because a lot of times what we're looking for is some kind of sturdiness to bump up against, something that's a real limit, but that's loving and kind. And to even say, hey, I'm at my maximum today. I'm going to be here no matter what. I'm going to always be here for you, but I need a little bit of a break. And it's not a break from you. It's actually a break for me to build my own capacity up, be there more fully for you, right? However, whatever language we want to use. But I think the boundary kind of looks the same, because just endlessly taking in trauma is not going to help you. The best way I can describe this is put on your own oxygen mask first before you help the person next to you put theirs on. Because if you don't do that, you can't help them. And it's in both of your best interests to actually have you take that time, whatever that time looks like.